Hi guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you a recent reads video. I got 3 books to talk about, so let's just get right into it. The first book that I finished in August was The Roundhouse by Louise Erdrich, and this was a book that I read for the Around the Year Challenge. You had to read a National Book Award winner or nominee, and this won the prize in 2012. This is a very interesting book. It takes place in North Dakota and on an Indian reservation, and it follows the life of a Native American boy named Joe, and Joe's mother has been raped by an unknown assailant, and so it's about the impact of this rape on Joe's family, particularly his mother. Obviously, she takes to her bed and she won't tell anyone, what happened or who did it. And so Joe and his father are trying to figure things out. Joe's father is a tribal judge on the reservation, and part of the story is talking about the implications of justice and what justice means and how you get justice, because the rape takes place at the Roundhouse, which is a building where they do special ceremonies and they have meetings and dances there and things. And so the Roundhouse itself is on tribal land, but then the land just off of the Roundhouse is owned by the state. And so there's different, justice, mechanisms depending on where the rape took place, and so they're trying to determine that based on evidence. And then about halfway through the book they find out who did it, and so it's also about whether or not they could get justice and what justice means. And then it's also about Joe's relationship with his friends, particularly his best friend named Cappy, who is trying to help him, sort of deal with this rape and how it affects him and everything. And Cappy plays a big part in the ending, which I won't tell you, of course, to avoid spoilers, but it's a really interesting ending. It's a fascinating book. This was my first Louise Erdrich book, and it was just really good. I definitely want to check out more of her work. It's been a long time since I've read like a literary fiction novel like this, and this was just really fascinating and really beautiful writing, and I'm glad I finally picked it up because I got it last year at the book sale, so I'm glad I finally picked it up. It's definitely one that I would recommend to you. I then read a short novella by Willa Cather for the month, My Immortal Enemy, which is her 7th book. This was a 52-page novella, and I have to say I didn't find it particularly memorable, mostly because it was so short. This details the story of Myra Henshaw through the eyes of a young girl named Nellie. Nellie's aunt, Lydia, was Myra Henshaw's best friend when they were girls, and they all lived in a small town in Illinois, and which at this time is, very rural and considered part of the West. But Lydia takes Nellie to visit Myra in New York, and Myra was famous in their small town because she was the heir of the wealthiest man in town, her uncle, who adopted her after her parents died. But then Myra decided to run away with a poor local boy, and as a result, she was written out of her uncle's will. But her husband managed to make his fortune, and so they are pretty, well off, but they're not rich. And so this is mostly about Myra's regrets in life and how she sort of regrets, giving up the security of her uncle's fortune for love, which of course is in direct contrast in much of what we see in literature, which is that love can conquer all. And in this book, she does love her husband, but there's definitely an implication that she wishes that she had either waited until her uncle died or, not done it. And Lydia talks about how it was very exciting in the town at the time. It was a scandal, and it was, a way to break up the monotony of her life. But because she now has this life, and I think part of it is because she's in this lower level social tier where she hangs out with rich people, so she sees them all the time, and so she can envy their life. And so it's also sort of an implication of is it better to try to improve your standing if you're gonna always be striving for something more in life, and you're never going to be happy with what you have. So it was an interesting book. It was just really short, and I felt like I never really connected to the characters that much, but it was okay, but definitely not my favorite Willa Cather. I then read a very exciting book, and that is a book that was written by my mom. My mom has written a devotional book. It's called Walk in Ancient Past, The Good Way of Wisdom by Ruth Sears, my mom. And I was reading this over the course of several months. I was reading 6 devotionals a day. At first I was reading this as to edit it, to swoop for errors, but then I sort of fell behind and I didn't finish it by her deadline. So I just was reading it for, pleasure. And I was just really excited that my mom finally got around to doing her book. She's been talking about doing it for several years, and she finally got it published. And this is a devotional where there's a daily devotion, 365 devotions and they all revolve around the book of Proverbs from the Bible, and they all focus on types of wisdom. My mom is really interested in the concept of wisdom and gaining more wisdom and how you can improve yourself through biblical principles, and particularly biblical principles of wisdom. So this was really cool. I'm really proud of her. It's going to be available on Amazon pretty soon, and I will link it down there if it's available by the time I post this. And yeah, it's just really cool to know the author when you're reading a book. This is actually one of her author copies, and it's inscribed to me. It says something very nice on the pages right here. And yeah, it's just really cool. And I know my mom watches these videos sometimes, so hi Mother, if you're watching. And yeah, it's really cool. And so that's all I've read recently, and I am reading Leadership by Doris Kearns Goodwin currently, and I hope to finish that up by the end of next week, if not before. And yeah, I got, 4 more books to read, so 3 after Leadership. But yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day and you're reading some great books, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!